Your knuckles are white on the wheel, and the road does not require that much grip. Somewhere in the last hour you decided that if you just push harder, want it more, control every variable, refuse to let go of a single detail, the outcome will finally bend the way you need it to. This is not ambition. Ambition built what you have. This is something else. The specific exhaustion of trying to force an outcome that was never fully yours to force in the first place, and calling that effort discipline. The reason forcing an outcome usually pushes it further away is not superstition, and it is not magic. It is a specific, measurable cost. Forcing consumes the exact attention and judgment that produces good outcomes and replaces it with grip. What follows is not another argument for effort. It is the specific difference between the grip that builds and the grip that strangles, and how to tell, this week, which one your hand is currently making. The wait before the work. Most men who have tried to solve this have simply worked harder, assuming the problem was insufficient force. What follows is the explanation for why more force, applied to the wrong part of the problem, makes the outcome slower to arrive, not faster. This is not a small correction. It touches nearly every high-stakes situation a man with real responsibility faces on a regular basis. The deal under negotiation, the promotion under review, the son making a decision you cannot make for him, the pitch waiting on someone else's calendar. In every one of these, there is a real portion that responds to effort, and a real portion that does not, and the two get treated identically by a man who has only ever been taught one lever: push harder. What this actually feels like. It looks like refreshing your phone for a reply that has not come yet, for the fourth time in 10 minutes, as if checking faster will make the message arrive faster. It looks like reworking a pitch that was already strong at midnight, not because it needs the changes, but because doing nothing feels unbearable while the outcome is still undecided. It looks like the conversation with your son, where you can hear yourself pushing the exact plan you have already decided is right for him, watching him pull away by the exact amount you push. None of this looks like weakness from the outside. It looks like commitment. A man who built something real does not sit back and hope. He acts, he follows up, he refines. He stays on top of every detail because that is what got him here in the first place. The instinct itself is not wrong. What has gone wrong is where the instinct is being aimed. There is a specific line most men cross without noticing, and once you cross it, more effort stops producing more result and starts producing less. On one side of that line is the version of effort that shapes the outcome: preparation, judgment, the quality of the work itself. On the other side is the version of effort that only shapes your own nervous system: checking, gripping, redeciding something that was already decided, applying pressure to a person or a process that responds to pressure by tightening back. The cost of staying on the wrong side of that line is not just wasted hours. It is the specific, ironic outcome that gives this whole pattern its bite. The deal that stalls because the other side can feel how much you need it. The son who becomes more certain of the wrong path, the harder you argue for the right one. The promotion that goes to the calmer man in the room, not because he wanted it less, but because his wanting did not leak into every interaction the way yours did. There is a version of this that is specific to men who carry real responsibility, and it rarely gets named directly. A man who runs a team or a business has spent years being rewarded, correctly, for exactly this instinct. Notice the problem, apply more attention, more hours, more pressure, and the outcome improves. That formula worked often enough to become a reflex. The trouble is that the formula only ever worked on the portion of any problem that responds to attention, hours, and pressure. It was never tested against the portion that responds to none of those things. Another person's free decision, a market's independent movement, a son's own timeline for growing up. The reflex fires anyway, because the reflex does not know the difference. It only knows that pressure has worked before. The mechanism. There is a specific reason effort applied to the wrong side of that line backfires, and it has nothing to do with deserving the outcome less. People and processes respond to pressure by resisting it. A negotiation partner who feels your need adjusts his terms accordingly. A son who feels your grip finds the exact amount of distance required to prove he is still his own man. A market that senses your desperation prices it in. Force announces exactly how much you need the outcome, and everyone and everything you are dealing with recalibrates against that information the moment it becomes visible. This is where two very different traditions, separated by 2,000 years and an ocean, arrive at nearly the same diagnosis, from different directions. One about what you can control, the other about what you actually are underneath the effort. Neither one tells you to want less. Both of them tell you, with unsettling precision, exactly where your hand should stop gripping. Consider what actually happens mechanically in the moment you apply force to something outside your control. Your attention narrows onto the thing you cannot influence: the phone, the pending reply, the son's face while he decides. And it narrows away from the thing you actually could still influence in that same moment: your own composure, your next honest sentence, the quality of what you are about to do next. Force does not just fail to move the ungrippable part. It actively withdraws resources from the grippable part at the exact moment the grippable part needed them most. This is not a metaphor. It is where your attention, your only truly limited resource, is being spent minute by minute. What the modern world tells you. The dominant message you have absorbed since your 20s is some version of outcomes belong to whoever wants them most and pushes hardest. Hustle harder, manifest it, visualize the result until the universe rearranges itself around your intensity. Force of will, applied without limit, is treated as the entire mechanism of success, as if wanting something badly enough is itself a kind of leverage on reality. This message is seductive because it is half true. Intensity does matter. The man who does not care will not build anything. But the modern version never tells you where the intensity is supposed to stop, because a message with a stopping point is harder to sell than one that promises unlimited return on unlimited force. So men apply unlimited pressure to processes and people that were never going to respond to unlimited pressure. And when the result does not arrive, the same message tells them the problem was not enough intensity yet. Push harder, want it more, grip tighter. It is a loop with no exit built into it. What Stoicism says. The Stoics drew the line the modern message refuses to draw, roughly 23 centuries ago, and drew it in a place that still holds up under pressure today. Some things are entirely within your power: your judgment, your effort, your preparation, your character. Everything else, other people's decisions, the market, the outcome of a negotiation, whether your son chooses the path you would choose for him, is not, no matter how much force you apply to it. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Notice what this does not say. It does not say, stop working. It does not say, stop wanting things to go well. It says, stop worrying, stop spending your attention and your grip on the portion of the outcome that was never within your power to begin with. The deal closing is not within your power. Your preparation for the deal is. Your son's decision is not within your power. The clarity and consistency of what you model for him is. The promotion is not within your power. The quality of your work and your composure under scrutiny are. This is not a comforting reframe offered to make you feel better about an outcome you cannot influence. It is a literal, testable claim about where your effort actually produces movement and where it only produces the feeling of movement. This distinction sounds abstract until you apply it to the specific hour you are in right now. Every ounce of force you are currently spending on the part of the outcome outside your control is force stolen from the part inside it. And it is usually the part inside it that determines whether the outcome arrives at all. The Stoics were not describing a mood or a mindset trick when they made this distinction. They were describing a specific, practical inventory a man can run on any situation right now before he acts. Ask directly, of everything currently occupying my attention about this deal, this son, this promotion, which pieces will still be true regardless of what I do in the next hour, and which pieces will actually change based on what I do in the next hour? The first pile gets released. The second pile gets everything you have. Most men have never actually run this inventory on paper, which is why the two piles stay tangled together, and the released pile keeps stealing attention from the one that was always going to matter. The pursuit, even of the best things, ought to be calm and tranquil. Cicero was not a Stoic by strict school affiliation, but he spent a career translating Stoic ethics into language Roman men of responsibility could actually use. And this line captures something the hustle version of ambition refuses to admit. The pursuit itself, not just the outcome, is supposed to be calm. A frantic pursuit is not a more committed pursuit. It is a pursuit that has confused intensity of feeling with quality of execution, and the two are not the same thing. Write in the comments right now, one word for the outcome you are currently gripping hardest, the one where you already know, if you are honest, that the grip is not helping. There is a specific test that separates a calm pursuit from a frantic one, and it has nothing to do with how much you care. Ask whether the action you are about to take would change if the outcome were already guaranteed either way. If you would send the same follow-up, do the same preparation, hold the same posture, regardless of whether the answer is already yes or already no. The action belongs to the calm pursuit. It was never really about controlling the outcome. It was simply the correct thing to do. If the action only exists because you are trying to tilt an undecided outcome in your favor through sheer repetition or pressure, it belongs to the frantic pursuit, and Cicero's line applies directly to it. Even the best things are not improved by being pursued frantically. What Jung says. Carl Jung approached the same problem from an entirely different direction, not through the ethics of control, but through the psychology of becoming. His observation was that the parts of a man that matter most, his real character, his integration of the parts of himself he would rather not look at, the version of himself he is actually capable of becoming, cannot be forced into existence by sheer will, any more than a negotiation can be forced into closing by sheer intensity. It is not I who create myself, rather I happen to myself. This sounds almost passive, and it is the opposite of passive. Jung is not describing a man who does nothing and waits. He is describing a man who does the work, who shows up, who reflects honestly, who takes the actions available to him, and then allows the actual becoming to happen as a consequence of that work, rather than trying to grip the outcome of his own character directly and force it into shape on a deadline. You cannot will yourself into confidence the way you will yourself through a spreadsheet. You build the conditions, and the confidence happens to you, or it does not, on its own schedule. This is precisely what happens with your son when you push the plan you have already decided is right for him. You are trying to force an outcome, his decision, that was only ever going to happen to him as a consequence of the model you gave him and the room you gave him to arrive at it himself. The grip does not speed that process up. It replaces his process with your intensity, and he resists the substitution the way anyone resists having their own becoming taken out of their hands. Where they converge. Here is where 23 centuries of Stoic ethics and a 20th century theory of the psyche land on nearly identical ground from opposite directions. Stoicism says, "Your effort is yours, the outcome is not. Stop gripping what was never yours." Jung says, "Your actions are yours. Your becoming happens as a consequence of them. Stop trying to grip your own character into existence on your timeline." Neither tradition asks you to want less, try less, or care less. Both tell you, independently, that the intensity you are spending on the ungrippable part of the process is intensity stolen from the only part that was ever going to produce the result you want. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. This is the convergence stated as plainly as it gets. The outcome was never going to be the source of the relief you are looking for. Your relationship to your own effort was. A man who has done the work and released the grip on the result is already, in the relevant sense, finished with his part of the transaction, regardless of which way the outcome eventually falls. What he does instead. The man who has actually absorbed both of these traditions does not stop working. He does something more specific. He sorts every task in front of him into one of two categories, out loud if he has to, before he acts on it. Is this action inside my control, my preparation, my judgment, my character, my effort? Or is this action an attempt to grip something that was only ever going to resolve on its own, in someone else's hands or in time's hands, regardless of how hard I push it? The first category gets everything he has. He prepares harder, works longer, refines more on the things that are actually his to refine. The second category gets a specific, deliberate release, not indifference, not giving up, but a conscious removal of his hand from a lever that was never connected to the machine in the first place. He sends the follow-up once with full effort, and then stops checking his phone every 6 minutes for the reply. He gives his son the clearest model he is capable of giving, and then stops re-arguing the decision every time they are in the same room. He submits the work at its highest quality, and then stops reworking it after the quality has already peaked, because the additional hours are not improving the work. They are only managing his own anxiety about the part he cannot control. This sorting produces a specific, visible change in how a man carries himself that other people notice before he does. Someone who has released the ungrippable part of a negotiation walks into the room differently than someone who is still trying to will it into existence. Not less prepared, not less serious, but without the particular tightness that telegraphs need to everyone in the room. That tightness is expensive in exactly the situations where it shows up most. Negotiations, interviews, difficult conversations with people you are trying to lead. The room reads it whether you intend it to or not, and it changes how the room responds to you, which means the release is not just an internal comfort. It is a practical advantage in the very outcomes you are trying to force. We should not use philosophy like a herbal remedy to be discarded when we're through. Rather, we must allow philosophy to remain with us, continually guarding our judgments throughout life. This sorting is not a technique you apply once, during a single stressful negotiation, and then discard. It is a standing practice applied every day to every situation where the urge to grip shows up, because the urge does not go away permanently after one success. It returns the next time something matters to you, and the discipline is in applying the same sort, calmly, every time, rather than treating it as a one-time fix for a single crisis. Consider the practical shape this takes over a normal week. Monday's negotiation gets full preparation and then a released grip on the client's decision. Wednesday's conversation with your son gets your clearest possible model and then a released grip on whether he takes it. Friday's board presentation gets your best material and then a released grip on how it lands with the two directors who never seem satisfied with anything. None of these releases are dramatic. Each one is a small, repeatable act, closing a laptop, putting down a phone, ending a sentence before it turns into the fifth attempt to persuade someone who has already heard the first four. The compounding effect of doing this consistently across a normal week is a man whose intensity is concentrated entirely where it can actually do something, instead of leaking out across everything he cannot touch. If you have ever caught yourself gripping something that was never yours to grip, write the one word for what it was in the comments. The deal, the decision, the reply, the outcome you finally released, and what happened after you did. Before we close, here is what this comes down to, in plain terms. Forcing an outcome does not fail because you wanted it too much. It fails because force gets applied to the part of the process that was never yours to force, while the part that actually determines the result goes underprepared and unattended. The Stoics drew a hard line between what is yours and what is not, and told you to spend every ounce of intensity on the first side of that line. Jung told you that your own becoming works the same way, built through action, released into its own timeline, never gripped directly. Where they converge is simple. Your relief was never going to come from controlling the outcome. It comes from doing your part completely, and then taking your hand off the lever that was never yours to hold. None of this asks you to want less, care less, or lower what you expect of yourself. It asks you to notice, in each specific situation this week, exactly where the line falls between what your hand can actually move and what it has only been pretending to move, and to spend your full intensity on the first, while letting the second resolve on whatever schedule it was always going to resolve on. The release. Today, pick the one thing you are currently gripping hardest, the reply you keep checking for, the plan you keep re-arguing, the pitch you keep reworking past the point of improvement, and do the concrete version of letting go. Send it, say it, submit it, and then physically put the phone down, close the document, or end the conversation. Not forever. Today. One deliberate, specific release on one specific grip, right now, starting the moment this video ends. If this is the kind of thinking you genuinely want to keep building, this channel is here every week. Every video takes one idea further than the last. Subscribe so you do not miss what comes next.